All right, hello guys. We're back. We're back streaming. I was off on Monday, but chat. Who chat over here? Like chat over here. I gotta put a box behind it or something. But let's just put chat right there. All right. But I was kind of sick Monday. I just didn't feel like I had the throat capacity to be able to do a stream Monday. Second stream I'm doing today. But if you guys did not know, George put out a not a blog post today. And that not a blog post went kind of off the rails. It had spoilers of things to happen in season 3. He talked about some of the things he didn't like in season 2, which he didn't. It seemed like there was more he wanted to say, but he didn't get further, into there. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that happened in that part of it. We also have HBO. A little bit before I went live, they put out a response, so we'll look at that as well. But if you are not able to find the actual blog post, it was actually removed by George R. Martin, which makes complete sense to me. It seems like there's going to be maybe some legal issues there, and so George hurry up and put that, away. So yeah, his not a blog I think got taken down like either by himself and or HBO within like 2 hours of it coming out, an hour probably I would say, because Ricky told me about it. I looked at it, and by the time I got out of my class, it was already down. So, thankfully, JC or the Advocate actually had screenshots of the post, so I can actually go through all of it in this stream. But if you didn't already catch me, I was already on Ricky's channel, and I just wanted to kind of talk about it by myself as well. And also, I didn't want to go a whole week basically without no solo stream, so we'll just talk about some of the same things again. But yeah. Hi, Agor. How are you? By the way, there's the Blackfire thing. It's a little bit covered up by the chat right now, but honestly, for this stream, I'm gonna not have chat up because I think I need like a box because you can't really see the chat that well if it doesn't have anything behind it. But yeah. But hi everybody, how are you guys doing? How are you, Robbie? How are you, Ashley, Matthew, all the usual suspects? This was a calm, boring day. Yeah, this was quite literally the worst day George R. R. Martin could have put out a not a blog because I have a bunch of stuff I have to do for class tomorrow. And he did it like on a day where it's like I had left kind of a video open and I was getting ready to record a video today about something else. But then this came up, so I'm going to have to make a video on this tonight. So we'll see how that all went down. So let's kind of go right into what we got in the not a blog. I'm going to sum it up. If you do want to see like the entirety or the thing in its entirety, you can always message me on Instagram or Discord or whatever. I'll send you the screenshots. But the gist of what George R. R. Martin was saying is there's a butterfly effect. When you remove small things or things that you think might be small from something, that can have massive repercussions. And he specifically was doing a follow-up post to one that he talked about during when House of Dragon was coming out with Blood and Cheese. And he talks about the removal of Maelor and how that's going to have huge repercussions on the actual show. Because it seems like, or not it seems like, it has, but Maelor has basically been completely removed from the show. And George originally was not told that. George was told that Maelor would probably be introduced some point during season 2, and that you'd still be able to see Maelor's plot in season 3 and how that would all unfold, and how that like part leads to not only Helena's death, but also then with the idea of the storming of the Dragon Pit. Right? So it was a lot of him giving a critique of how Blood and Cheese was done, but it seemed to be stemmed by a lot more of a frustration and anger of what's going on, because he then starts to go into spoilers about what was going to happen in season 3. So George R. R. Martin was involved at least in the talks of season 3 and 4 of where the story was going, right? And this seems to have fueled his anger and why he did this not a blog. It's very long-winded. It kind of feels like if you ever have gotten like negative feedback or a negative comment or whatever, say your comment on one of my videos, somebody else comments to you, it's pretty rude and stuff like that. He really went on, and it's a post that should never have been made public, because he confirms that Helena was going to die in season 3, and it was going to be basically no big event. Did that, she just commits suicide in the season. It doesn't have any big like moment as to why it happens. Like, as in the book, it's kind of Maelor's death and all of that. And also you look at the guilt that she feels between Jaehaerys and Maelor and having to choose between the two. All of that is part of this post. And what we leave off on, and I want to read the last part of it because it's the most important part of it in my opinion. Let me go to my Discord. Let me read the last little part for you guys. So the blog post ends out with this. What will we offer the fans instead? Once we've killed these butterflies, I have no idea. I do not recall that Ryan and I ever discussed this back when we first told me that they were pushing back on Aegon's second son. Maelor himself is not essential, but if losing him means we also lose Bitterbridge, Helena's suicide, and the riots, well, that's a considerable loss. And there are larger and more toxic butterflies to come if House of the Dragon goes ahead with some of the changes being contemplated for Season 3 and Season 4. So George is already hinting at the fact that this show is going to be making more considerably weird and stupid changes. He didn't even specifically talk about some of the writing issues in Season 2. Like, he only mentioned certain things. And so, yeah, it's a lot. It's a big blog post. I kind of try to sum it up for you guys, and then let's kind of get the rest of this out. So let's look at HBO's response. Then we'll kind of break it all down. So HBO says this. There are few greater fans of George R. R. Martin and his book Fire and Blood than the creative team on House of the Dragon, both in production and at HBO. That's a lie. That's just a lie. But all right, let's continue. Commonly, when adapting a book for the screen with its own format and limitations, the showrunner ultimately is required to make difficult choices about the characters and stories the audience will follow. We believe that Ryan Condal and his team have done an extraordinary job, and the millions of fans the series has amassed over the first 2 seasons will continue to enjoy it. I guess this is not a post for me because I didn't enjoy the second season. So, yeah. But that is HBO's response. So, for everybody that wasn't caught up, that's what happened. All right. Also, Tom Bombadil tonight. Matthew, we'll see how hopefully Rings of Power is good tonight because we need a win. That's all I got to say. But yeah, he definitely went a little Maegor. This is a post that I don't think she should have released. As much as I like George standing up for his work and him being able to vent out his frustrations and things like this, I don't think in the long run he will look back at this and go, this was a good decision. It reminds me a lot of when I get really negative comments on things that I'm very passionate about. And I might type something and then I'll just go delete it. I won't actually send it. But we'll see. Even the most of the casual non-book reading fans I know were disappointed with this season, so HBO really needs to take this in stride and sharpen up. Yeah, I mean, hopefully HBO realizes that they've got to do better than what they've been doing in the past. Some of the things they've been doing, they can't be. And this is the thing, right? George R. R. Martin did this lengthy post, and it doesn't even seem like this was all he had to say, right? Like, it seems like there was going to be a follow-up post to this. So that's where I also sit here and I go, he didn't even talk about Daemon. He didn't talk about Alicent. He didn't talk about any of the writing choices made after episode 4, right? All we know from George on what he's talked about with House of the Dragon for season 2 so far has all been stuff within the first 4 episodes. So it is quite frightening that he's this pissed off, and we're just kind of in the blog post anyway, we're talking about stuff in the first half of the season, the better half of the season. But it seems like he had this lingering frustration, this lingering anger towards the way season 2 ended. And then you have the fact that he goes to a meeting, he hears what they have planned in the future, And it seems like George just doesn't have any type of influence or creative control over the way House of the Dragon's moving. I mean, based upon what he said, right? He said that he offered, some criticism on Blood and Cheese before it came out. They didn't really listen because they didn't want to hire another, actor to play Maelor because of the budget. I think that's a ridiculous argument. We get some random Avengers scene at the end of episode 7 with all the dragons being part of it that was just not needed. There's multiple scenes throughout all of season 2 that could have been cut for us to get an impactful scene with Maelor. Just a cop-out answer from Ryan Condal. But yeah, so for everybody that didn't know what's going on, that is the gist of it. That is the summed up version of what is going on. Why can't that be published? Condal himself spoiled Aemon and Daemon's arc via Helena's revelation. That's worse. So Ashley, the difference here is because George specifically spoiled a moment that Ryan Condal and the team are going to be doing in House of the Dragon season 3. That is breaking of a legal contract to not publicly be spoiling the show. That is why I think he took it down. I think if he had not said things that were specifically going to happen in season 3, and I'm not saying what happens in the book. I'm saying the way that House of the Dragon's going to interpret those things. If he had not said that, I think he would have been fine to put this out there. It still wouldn't have looked great, but again, that's why. But I agree with you, Ashley. Hi, Ghost. Welcome back. Hi, Mohammed. How are you? Rough out there right now for a Song by Some Fire, folks. Yes. Also, Ashley, I don't remember if I said hi to you, but hi. Yes, sir, Philip. Yep. What benefits for a TV audience? What does making Helena Dreamer provide? Fan service. That's the only reason. It was fan service to get some of the stuff of the past. So getting these visions, things of Game of Thrones connected to Game of Thrones. It was just fan service. Ryan Condal deserves all the criticism he gets now. This also confirms to me Sarah Hiss is a problem in the writer's room. I agree, DJ Bell. I think the only thing I disagree with what came out of this post, and I talked about this with Ricky, I don't love the way George handled it. Even though I agree with everything George has to say, I don't know if I would have publicly put this out there. I just think it's not the best look for him. So, I don't know. I just got here. Can I get the on what he said? So Ditto again. If any of you guys want the actual photos that I have all the whole post, all my photos. Let me know. I'll send it to you. If you want to connect to me on Instagram, Twitter, Discord. I think I got to fix the Discord link. It's always messed up. But again, that goes for anybody in here. If you want to go to any of those links and message me, I'll send them to you. I just saw some people throwing hate at George. Yeah, George has every right to be angry, pissed off. Think about the way I was, right? I love the dance. So I'm a little bit more emotional than, say, Ricky is with Voice of Old Town about House of the Dragon. The night after, or the night of, episode 8 and finish and all these things, I mean, go back. For people that are members, you watched, my episode review of episode 8. I was beaten down. It hurt me that the show was this bad. It was depressing. Take now George, who made these characters, this is, his work, and he's having people just completely screw it up. I mean, it's Game of Thrones the second time. I agree, Dan. Just incompetence at the HBO, the top level. I agree. I'll be tuning in for season 3 only for the epic dragon battles, which is sad because season 2 completely ruined the story and characters for me. Robbie, I'm kind of in the same boat. I will cover season 3, but it won't be nearly as passionate as I was, say, early season 2 or even season 1. Yeah, Ghost, I think there's never any reason to be sending people death threats. That's crazy. But I think just insulting George. I don't understand that. I can understand frustration with Winds of Winter, all those things, but I just don't understand why we are, taking all of that anger and, calling him names and all these things. Does that make him want to write Winds of Winter faster? No. So I just don't get it. The fact HBO let this happen again after D&D is inexcusable. I 100% agree. I agree. You would have thought they would have taken a lot more care, but that just was not the case. The Song of Ice and Fire fan base is giving me Star Wars fan base vibes right now. I mean, yeah, I think on Twitter especially, or X, it's just the fan base is just very toxic. I don't know what to say at this point. Like this fan base, the community that I have, you guys are for the most part, you guys are great. We might have different opinions and all this stuff, but we're pretty respectful about it. And I love the community I have, but some other parts of this community I think are not the best at times. But yeah, Mats, he says in the thing, like, there are worse things to be discussed. Like, this is not the end, is what it seems like he's kind of discussing. But agreed, Ruckus. I definitely agree. Like, I wish Winds of Winter would be done, but I'm not gonna harass the guy on every single social media about it. It's just crazy. Showrunners have a way of shitting on George's work, it seems. I agree. And again, this is the type of stuff that really worries me about A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. I really think that it should be good, but stuff like this just really bothers me. It's like, why are we making such stupid decisions that you've even isolated George? George, during the entirety of Game of Thrones, never once came out like he is right now with House of the Dragon. Like, he never came out like this during Game of Thrones. That shows you the level of pissed off George is. And maybe that's because he's watching, a second show do the exact same thing that Game of Thrones had happened to it, and they didn't learn. Who knows, right? But it's just insane to me. George must have made the calculation that if he doesn't speak up now, HBO will continue to pull this shit. I mean, maybe there's some part of it where he said this stuff to bring attention to the shortcomings of HBO and Ryan Condal, to put more pressure on them to do better in season 3. But I don't think that's the case at all. I think George, it's just him acting out of emotion and telling, what he thinks about the show and what he thinks about the future of the show. I've made tons of videos, or I wouldn't say tons, but I've made a couple videos or been part of streams where, how do you get through all of season 3 and season 4? You've set yourself up for failure. It's just the way it seems like right now. He finally snapped. Can't really blame him. Yeah, I mean, the fact that he kept it all together when season 2 ended, and we didn't see him, destroying the show or anything like that, I think is a testament to him. But I think it's a mix. I think it's season 2 not being that good. I mean, at least disappointing. Let's just say that. And then also the fact that he's hearing the plans of season 3 and season 4, and he also isn't liking that either, right? He talks about it. There's going to be worse and more toxic things to occur. So we'll just have to kind of see. I think the damage is already done. A lot of the book fans were already kind of pulling away. Yeah, DJ, I am one of those fans. Like, after season 2, I said it. That House of the Dragon I'll still cover because it's Song of Ice and Fire related, but my love of the show has died. But my love of the show died when episode 8 came out. There was no way of fixing those characters in a way that matters. I don't know. People don't hate on Mark Hamill when he was trashing The Last Jedi. Agreed. I'm glad Ricky is optimistic about Dunk and Egg because I'm scared shitless that they'll mess it up. Yeah, I do know why, though. Because he has some information just going into the show. I can't say anything I'm not going to because that's not public information, and that doesn't make any sense for me to reveal on a stream. But that, the show, at least of some of the things he's seen so far, are good. So, there's definitely reasons to be optimistic. It's just I've done this dance before now. Like House of the Dragon season 2, I thought was going to be great. I thought there was no way they could screw it up, and they just screwed it up. They pissed on it. They pissed on Fire and Blood, more or less. So I am still optimistic with Dunk and Egg, or at least a little bit, but I have more concerns than I thought I would because of season 2. I mean, that's an interesting conversation. Is George justified to make this post where kind of revealing some things in season 3, kind of showing us a more frustrated, angrier side of him. It wasn't a very professional look. It was him telling it how he thinks it is. And I can't fault George for, saying how he feels and all those things, but I just don't know if I personally would have handled it in that regard. But again, I agree with everything George says in the post. I agree with every single thing that's in that post. I just don't know if I would have made it public. I think this was strategic on George's part, and he deleted the post not fully due to HBO pressure, but to get the truth out there. I could definitely see that, Ashley. He makes a lot of characters that are very good at stuff like that, so it wouldn't surprise me. The child actor excuse for Blood and Cheese doesn't even make sense. They could have done a workaround because it's not the gruesomeness that makes it impactful. It's the dynamics and that little bit of dialogue. Yeah, that's my point, right, Robbie? We don't need to see the little kids getting killed. It's not about that. It's the impact it has on the characters, right? Making Helena choose between her two sons, right? What does that then influence going forward, right, in the story? It's, having Allison there to actually be present and what that does to her character, but yet she's sleeping with Kristen Cole. It's the things surrounding those events that matter. It's not the actual scene itself. I mean, it is somewhat, but again, we don't need to see a kid, losing their head. That doesn't need to happen on screen. That should have been a cutaway, just like how it was in the show to begin with. But I don't know. They're toxic because it's taken him over a decade to write it. Yes, but I don't think that warrants then, name calling and doing all these crazy things. I just don't think that's appropriate. He's pissed because I'm sure Ryan and HBO made assurance it wouldn't be a repeat of GOT and more book focus. Yeah, that's the other part of it. Think about it when we went back to season 1 and before House Dragon came out. Ryan Condal was said to be a really big, Song of Ice and Fire fan and all these things, and that he was more of a nerd and all these things about keeping the source material accurate. That seems like a complete lie. I don't know how you can sit here and call yourself a fan, and he just didn't. He just didn't. If some of the writing mistakes, it's just unacceptable. I don't know. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and be like, oh well, he tried. It's like, you didn't try that hard if this is the best writing you could come up with. I don't know. I just think this is all just build up at this point. I don't think George is still over how they changed Game of Thrones and just all coming to a head with House of the Dragons. It's reliving that pain, Ghost. I think to an extent you're right there. He's reliving that feeling, right? Like I talked about, Game of Thrones season 8 is worse than House of the Dragon season 2 easily, right? But when I talked about it, I talked about that feeling that I had. House of the Dragon season 2 gave me that feeling that I had in season 8 of Game of Thrones, where it just felt like what happened to this show I used to love. It's not the same anymore, right? Because I was somebody that when I watched Game of Thrones, when it was coming out, season 7 is the season where I really realized, yeah, there's a dip in quality. And in season 8, it just tipped over. But it's the same feeling. It's the exact same feeling I got from House of the Dragon season 2 that I got in Game of Thrones season 8, even though 1 is definitely worse. HBO doesn't deserve the IP anymore. I mean, I can't argue with it. They've just screwed up 2 projects in a row. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's not great. He's just finally voicing his truth opinion on how HBO has done his franchise. I can't disagree with that. I understand why he did that, and I don't know. It's hard to put yourself in that situation, right? Because it's something that George is so passionate about. He's worked his entire life, around this series and trying to get places as an author, and to watch people, profit off of your stories and making them worse and making that not really come to the screen. It's definitely tough. Yeah, Louisa, I think that is exactly right. He had a harder time speaking out of Game of Thrones because, well, Game of Thrones wasn't finished. And I don't think that's an excuse, in my opinion, as to why Game of Thrones got worse. But I could see why people would use that against George. Whereas here, like you said, Fire and Blood, the story of the dance is done. Like, yes, we don't know, maybe don't know specifically certain things that happen behind closed doors because it's from a historian point of view, but the story is there. You know the events that happen, right? There's no we don't know what the endpoint is. We know what the endpoint is, and so I do agree. I think that's probably part of it. Greaser Stana sigil needs to be triple the size of the Lannisters, Targaryen, and Stark banners. Maybe. I am thinking I might get a Baratheon one for like over here. The problem that you guys can't see is that it looks like there's a pretty big space by the Stark banner, right? There really isn't. Like right where it cuts off is actually where the electrical plug is. That I have all my stuff plugged into. Here, I'll show you guys. It's like right there. Like I actually don't have that much room over there, but I do want to put something there. I've been kind of back and forth with what I want to put there, but we'll see. I was thinking about maybe because I have basically all of my A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones stuff like down here, outside of season 1 House of the Dragon poster with young Rhaenyra and I don't remember, is Cyrax in that pit? Isn't it, or is it the throne? I don't remember, but it just won't fit over there, so we'll see. I don't know. Hi Cannibal, how are you? It's kind of sad too. Season 1 of House of the Dragon had such a huge importance in bringing the fandom back since Game of Thrones. Now that's just ruined with season 2. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like season 1 of House of the Dragon was not perfect, but it was good, right? There was some great character writing, some great changes. You know, it had its hiccups, but it was a pretty good season overall. And it feels like they just kind of threw all that away. Ryan Connell does have input. I believe I don't know, remember he's the producer or he's something with Duncan Egg. And so, yeah, that's where a lot of my concerns do stem from. I mean, did he spoil anything not in Fire and Blood? No. He spoiled. So this is the kind of argument though, but it's like the spoil he made was that he says in the blog post that Helena dies and commits suicide for nothing. That's what he said, right? And that's the part that is the spoilery part, right? Because we don't know if Helena was going to die in the next season, what they were going to do, how they were going to make her death actually occur. George just straight up gave us the answer. Like, that is something he can't really do. Because, yes, Helena does die in Fire and Blood, but there's different circumstances, different things that happen. And so it's that, to me, which is what makes it where he can't, like, actually keep that up. What do the death of the kids do to others? So are you talking about like what I was referencing with Blood and Cheese? Like if you want to know what that route is, well, it has a whole different thing. Helena kills herself based upon Blood and Cheese, and then what happens later on with her other son, the living son, right? And so that affects Helena. Also, then that affects the taking or the storming of the dragon pit, which then leads to the killing of more dragons. So it has a ripple effect, right? That now cannot occur because Maelor is not a character. So, yeah. He did warn before writing the spoilers. The subsequent information was written for book readers. I don't get those objections. That's the way I see it, right? Is that I get it, right? That as a book reader, you know Helena's going to die. But I think it comes from a place of we didn't know how she was going to die and the circumstances of how Ryan Connell was going to do that, given the differences. And that, I think, is probably the thing that is definitely making it to where George took it down, probably. I'm so happy that George said it outright. When he made his previous post, people were saying it was reference to Game of Thrones. He needed to be frank. Yeah, I mean, I definitely get it, right? I'm a part of me is happy that he voiced his opinion because I know that that's something that would have been on his mind, something he was very much, been going through, right? He made his last blog post before this one. The very end of it ends with he's been having a bad year. He's, been overcome with stress and anger and all these things. And I really feel bad for George. And so a part of me is glad that maybe he would have relieved himself of some of that, some of the things he'd been holding in and all that. But at the same time, I don't know if I would have done it publicly like that. I can't help but feel like HBO has gone soft when it comes to violence and death and everything that was in Game of Thrones. In general, every death gets a cutaway without showing it. Um, I don't know if I agree with that. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think that in certain regards we don't need to distinctively see people die. Like, for instance, like Blood and Cheese, that we don't need to see those people die. Or Jaehaerys die, I should say. But I don't know. We'll see. Season 5 and 6 are abominations as well. They're definitely not good. I have a little bit more sympathy with season 5, but I still don't think it's like a good season either. I just think it's very mid. Honestly, I'm not excited for the future of House of the Dragon or any Song of Ice and Fire shows in general. Yeah, I mean, it really dampens a lot of my excitement for, things in the future. It does. It just basically brings up that mistrust once again. I agree. Hi, Casper. Also, is this early? I don't think this is. Wait, is this an early stream? I don't remember. I usually go live at 5, I think. So, yeah, I think it's relatively normal. But I've streamed 2 different times today, Casper. So, you know. I'm also tired of the excuse they ran out of material. They never did. They bailed on the book plots, and PJ can work out plot lines and other Song of Ice and Fire YouTubers. It just shows the lack of skill. I mean, they still had source material and they didn't use it, right, DJ? Season 5 is supposed to cover 2 different books, and it just didn't really. So that whole argument is just not good. I agree. I agree, though. Some of the cracks are in season 4. I agree. It's kind of why I'm a little bit more critical of season 4 than I think other people are, because they kind of get hidden. Your banners are fantastic. Well, I'm glad you like them. I've had them for a long time. They're actually pretty cheap. If you want to get them, I know Walmart sells them online, and I think these were all like $15. So if you do want to get some, they're pretty cheap. I'm good since I wasn't in House of the Dragon. Well, Cannibal, you never know. In the future, they might add you. I doubt it, but they might. I actually love he spoke his mind in public because he was telling them behind the scenes. Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I think George was having private conversations. I think all these things. I think it was probably this idea that he wasn't being heard, right? He felt like his opinion didn't matter. People weren't listening to him. You think about what he states in the actual blog, that he talked to Ryan Condal about Blood and Cheese, and they basically kind of shrugged him off and then just basically lied to him, right? They told him Maelor was going to be introduced in this season. That didn't happen. So, yeah. Also, I am really excited to when the Penguin show comes out as well. Penguin, one of my favorite DC villains. Mainly because of the show Gotham, but yeah. Will Condal and the writers bite down and continue to change and shift away from George's vision, or will this discord makes? I mean, they might try and correct Matthew, but if you think about where the story already is, it's already too far away from the book. It's not George's story anymore. Based upon Allison and Rhaenyra's, their characters, Damon's character at this point, like, I think it's more the realization that George had, right? Where season 2 as a whole isn't that far away from the book. Like, it's still, significantly different from the book, but it's not like, I don't even know how I would word this, but it's like, it still follows somewhat the same story, but because of those things they've changed now, the story in season 3 and season 4 is going to be completely different. It's just how it's going to be. It'll be the same maybe event, but it'll be different how we get there, or the event itself might be different. Grease, did you hear what Ryan Condal had to say on their podcast? I did not. I just missed a ton of chats because it just went down so far. By the way, this is an insane stream. Holy cow. We're almost at 80 viewers in the stream. No wonder I can't keep up with chat. Sorry, guys, if I can't keep up with chat. I'm trying my best. I try to give you guys a bunch of attention, especially because I already did a stream earlier today, and we didn't really talk to chat that much. Yeah, so if you're just tuning in the stream, a lot of issues that George had with House of the Dragon. Let me get where I was. But, fair. It will be interesting to see if WB takes any action, even so, though if they actually did take some sort of action towards George R. R. Martin, it would be bad news. Because book fans, like me as a book fan, and George R. R. Martin, a big supporter of George R. R. Martin, if they actually tried to do some sort of lawsuit towards him, I would probably refrain from watching season 3. Even though like it is Song of Ice and Fire content, I can make, stuff out of it. I would protest it just because of what they would have done to George. The fact that Connell wants to do that with Helena shows nothing will change with House of the Dragon. It will continue to suffer from all the same problems. I'm done with it. Yeah, I would say it's suffered from the same problems and added more. I think they've continued to add. They didn't fix what the problems were in season 1, so those festered, and then they added new ones. That's the weirdest thing about it. Blackfire banner. This is the problem though, Agor. I can't find any Blackfire banners. I would love to have a Blackfire banner. Can't find any because they weren't in Game of Thrones, right? And so all this stuff is, of course, from Game of Thrones, or it's gonna be from House of the Dragon. But when Dunk and Egg starts coming out, maybe that's when I want to get some cool Blackfire stuff. I do want to get, maybe I could do on this side. We'll get like a Dunk and Egg thing. If Dunk and Egg's good, maybe this side will have like a little Dunk and Egg thing over there. Yes, Ricky, I decided to go live once again because I wanted to give my viewers a solo stream because they haven't had one this week. But we're just kind of going through it. We looked at the HBO response, but yeah, long day. Also, Ricky, go to sleep. It's past like midnight. Go to over there where you are. Go to sleep. You need sleep, my boy. I don't personally. We're not gonna get into it because this is not the point of the stream. I talk about this. I feel like every stream. Season 6 to me is not really that good. I think there's a couple redeeming moments that make people remember it well, but I don't think it's that great. Also, hi Dakota, how are you? Stream starts at 6. Oh god, dude, I'm getting a little crescent-y, you know. My brain just kind of forgets. Hi Oracle, how are you? Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate you as always. That's why you're the GOAT mod. Oh, Dakota's in here. Ashley is the GOAT mod though. I'm sorry, Dakota. She's just been here way longer. I want the sword. Oh, that'd be really cool. I've thought about actually I have my Nazgul sword. It's not really a Nazgul sword. It's just like a generic like wizard sword and having it like hanging up over here by my Stark banner, but I don't know. I also want to get lights for the background. I want to get like lights to go along like the edging of all my stuff back there, but we'll see. I also can't blame D&D that much. They didn't have the books to cover the entire story, but can't say the same for the writers. See, I get what you're saying, timeout, but I disagree. They still had book 4 and 5 going into season 5, and they just fucked it up. So, I don't know. George leaking season 3 details on his blog post was not on my bingo card, but fuck it, we ball. That's where I'm at right now. Fuck it, we ball. I like seeing, George went a little, Maegor the Cruel. That's all I'll say. All right, now that I finally caught up with chat, and I can put this to live chat. Hopefully I didn't miss too many viewers or too many comments, but I just saw we had 69 viewers. Nice. Ariana, so this is the whole problem, right? If we go to Game of Thrones, they cut out so many small things that it created a massive issue. You cut out Lady Stoneheart. Well, okay, what are they going to make for Brienne and Podrick and Jaime? Nothing, filler, and then just some weird payoff at the end of season 5, right? You have Jaime and Bronn just fucking around Dorne, like, I don't know. Agreed. Stuff like the Greyjoy plot, Euron as a character, I think probably one of the worst adaptations of any character ever. So, yeah. Maegor the underrated, George based as fuck. Maegor is underrated. People didn't love that. There are some people that did not like my video where I said Maegor was overhated. Well, that just shows he's overrated, or he's overhated. I did not see that Blackfire is over $800. That's kind of insane. Part of me hopes this will lead to George R. R. Martin to letting of the adaptations he can't control and focusing on the books. It sucks, but it's probably the best case scenario at this point. I mean, maybe we see George focus on wins more, right? Maybe because of, he's getting tired of all these, TV networks not being able to do his story justice. maybe that gives him more inspiration to do Winds of Winter. Last time he seemed to get a lot of progress done was after Game of Thrones and COVID happened. So maybe that is what happens. I don't know. George is the shepherd. We are the flock. I agree. I wish Blackfire was better. Yeah. I mean, here's what I'm excited for, right? This is what I'm just like dunk and egg, right? Regardless of if it's good or bad, it just means we'll have more like wall decor. There'll be more Song of Ice and Fire wall decor type of stuff, right? So that I can put stuff in the background for you guys. I also want to put something else down there on my Blackfire one because it got some room right here. But yeah. George has been contemplating his legacy lately, like visiting Tolkien's grave. Hopefully, he's more motivated to write. Yeah, I mean, George is in just a really depressing place. Right? Did you go see Two Towers? I didn't see it today, and I wasn't gonna see it today either because the time would have one not been able for me to stream today, and I wasn't gonna miss 2 streams in 1 week. And then the other thing was all this came out. So of course this is not a streaming day that I can afford to miss. It's just not. This is some of the biggest news we've gotten from George R. R. Martin and so that's part of it, but I probably will see it Saturday. That would be when I want to see it. I'll probably go see it Saturday. We assume he got more progress done. We're taking the word of a man who's been cock teasing for us for over a decade. Not wrong. But I do think he has gotten like, I would say like since Game of Thrones ended, he got a bit more work done. I would say a lot during COVID, and then it's kind of slowed down and like come to a halt as to like right now. I did not see that. I definitely got to look into it because a lot of you guys are bringing it up, but I will be very interested to look at that. Also, if you guys want to see the full post in its entirety, again, add me on social media, message me on there. I will send you screenshots of it if you missed it, or if you want to go to me and Ricky's stream, he read out the whole thing at the very beginning of the stream. So if you want to see, the whole thing, if you didn't get a chance, those are definitely the best places. You might also be able to just look up on X, just look up the post, and people probably have screenshots as well. Yeah, Ryan kind of went off on the new House of Dragon podcast saying that the source material is propaganda and that historians had one perspective on the story. That's cope. That is complete cope. I've talked about this stupid. God, I hate this argument. Triggers me more than anything that anyone says about House of the Dragon. Is that? Oh, hold on. We're gonna get into character. Oh, Fire and Blood is just from the historian's perspective, so it's all biased. It doesn't actually mean everything that happened. Like Alice and Rhaenyra definitely could have met up 2 different times without anybody knowing, especially when Alicent walked right in the fucking door. And then she walks out with no disguise on either. Oh, the historians. Fire and Blood is barely even canon. It's not like George R. R. Martin wrote that or anything, and if there was another alternative, he would have put it in the book. That argument pisses me off. It's such a stupid excuse. It's lazy. It's just, yeah. Hi, Radical. How are you? Spill the tea? All right. I'll give you the spark notes since I've talked about this so much already. So, Radical. George R. R. Martin came out. He had some criticism with season 2, mainly though on some stuff from the first episode with Blood and Cheese, with Maelor's exclusion. He thought Maelor was going to be introduced in season 2. He wasn't going to be part of Blood and Cheese, but he'd be introduced in season 2 so that the events after season 2 would make sense with Maelor's involvement. They didn't do that. They basically lied to him. He then basically was saying how that's a butterfly effect that's going to affect things that are going to happen in the future, and that there's going to be a lot of bad decisions happening in season 3 and 4 if they can keep doing things the way they're contemplating doing them, because he was in the writing room for season 3 and 4. And it's more or less just him feeling kind of angry, pissed off, and not heard by HBO. Kind of how I'd put it. We don't say that. I'm sorry, Dakota. I get a little emotional sometimes. They're gonna mess up Daron. I can feel it in my bones. If they mess up Daron, I don't even know what to say. Fire and Blood being propaganda would only work if George had told him the full, uncensored, and correct version. Obviously, that is not the case. Ryan or Sokano using that excuse implies that he is the final arbitrator. Yeah, exactly, which is stupid. And also, why would George put out Fire and Blood if the true story wasn't written in there, right? And of course, not everything that's said in Fire and Blood is actually true, but the core of the story is there. It's left to you interpret the small details, all these things. But yeah. Yes, Matthew, that is, I went full acting, okay? I wish Ricky was around to hear that. He would have enjoyed that. They did make Tom Glenn Carney, or Carney. I think I said his name wrong. I don't know. He did a great job as Aegon. Agreed, Radical. Rhaenyra's death is propaganda. She and Alicent live under an orange tree with the men who are to blame for everything. Condal and Hess's wet dream. I agree. It's just I don't know. It's just crazy using that. After House of the Dragon Season 1, I thought Ryan actually liked the lore. Yeah. Yeah, Kenshin, this is by far my largest stream. I don't know what we got to at the peak of it. I saw like 82, but I usually have viewers hidden, and I don't show them on screen anymore. But, yeah, that's pretty crazy. So thank you, everybody, for who's in here and all that. Also, thank you for the love that, me and Ricky both got on his channel. That was, before this stream, the most viewed stream I'd been on, and so that was pretty cool. But, yeah, just a big day for Song of Ice and Fire. To all the newcomers, we have 3 rules. No shit talking, House Frey. The Starks suck, and Greece is not allowed to say that F word. See, I got it. I fixed it. I swear George released Fire and Blood, so House of the Dragon has a story. It is known. That would have been wild if Aegon didn't know how, or basically seemed like he didn't know how to ride a dragon. That'd be crazy. Newcomers, the only rule is not to listen to Dakota. Yes, Ashley, that is correct. That is correct. Ryan triggers me with the things he says, like saying people were upset that Meleys died. So Ryan said Maelor is no. So Ryan said it before Blood and Cheese, like before season 2 came out to George, and then lied to it about it. That didn't actually happen. Divine, you are here. It's okay. It's okay. You're also in the other stream, so you get brownie points. You were in 2 streams today. Why do you think they sidelined Corlys so much during a period of the war? He was vital team. I have no idea. I have no idea why Corlys was a extreme minor character in both season 1 and season 2. It makes 0 sense, in my opinion. It makes 0 sense. The actor who plays Corlys is one of my favorite actors of the entire cast, and he gets nothing to do. He gets to sit next to a boat the entire season. This is insane to me. Alicent will poison Aegon. Rhaenyra will die a dignified dragon rider's death. Daemon's death will be purely for the benefit of an abstract prophecy. Agreed. The disrespect. I am to be listened to. I am the moral compass of the stream. Sometimes you are, Dakota. I am worried Sunfire is actually dead and Rhaenyra will get a watered down death or escape. Yeah, me too. That is crazy. God, if that happens. Oh God. Ryan Connell is basically telling the book fans to go fuck themselves at this point. Yep. I agree. After pulling the nonsense he did in season 2, I agree 100%. And that's not to say, if you like season 2, I'm glad you like season 2. But from a book, like if we're talking book lore, he gave a massive fuck you to the book lore. So that's all I'm saying. You know, the best ship captain is yet to be on a boat. Cannibal, That's insane to think about, given we're 2 seasons into the show. That's all I'm gonna say. Do you think the writer's strike and new CEO had real detrimental effects on the state of season 2? No. Because before the writer's strike happened, they had all of the 10 episodes, it seemed like, for the most part, written out. What you saw was more or less what they had, and it was pretty piss poor. I don't think that had much to do with it. Yeah, Matthew, I think there was a lot more happening behind the scenes with HBO with House of the Dragon, especially than maybe we thought there was. Again, if you look back at on streams, I would say up until episode 7, I was pretty positive that George liked the show and all those things, and now I look stupid, right? I still held on to optimism, all these things. That's not the case anymore. The way they destroyed Allison's character in season 2 terrifies me for what else they're going to change now. Agreed, 100%. 100%. Harold Westerling, hopefully he never sees the show again so they don't ruin him somehow. We are not getting Nettles. If you think we're getting Nettles, you are basically George with Maylor right now. You are just wanting it to happen, and it's not going to happen. Nettles is not a thing. No, like, okay, so what I mean by that, Aboriginal, is that it makes me feel stupid. Like, it makes me feel stupid when, like, I think about how I talked up House of the Dragon Season 2. Like, I remember talking to, like, my family members, things like that, and be like, yeah, House of the Dragon Season 2 is going to be insane, right? Because of the events that happen in the book. And just looking back on that, it's like, well, that didn't age very well. Like, there's a YouTube short on this channel where I was like way before House of the Dragon Season 2 was coming out, or we knew any of the details. That was like, I am just super excited for the season. I think it's going to be fantastic. I don't know how to, think that it's going to be bad. It just makes you feel very stupid after it. I think they were originally going to cut Daron in season 1, but after the backlash they got for that, they had to rush him in and let us know he existed in season 2. Ghost, that's the feeling I also have, which tells you something. Daron is one of the most important characters during the dance, and he's not even a character through half of the show. That's insane. Is this worse than the end of the Game of Thrones? No. House of Dragons quality is still better than the end of Game of Thrones. But I think the fact that George is talking like openly about House of the Dragon compared to Game of Thrones is not a good sign. Like, it could tell me that right now we're not as bad as Game of Thrones, but from George's reaction, the coming seasons we could be. That's kind of where I'm at, right? I think there was a part of me that still thought House of the Dragon season 3 could somewhat recover, like not get as good as season 1. I think season 1 is now the peak of House of the Dragon. I don't think it can ever get as good as it was in season 1, but I thought it could maybe be decent, get up to like a good, like maybe 7 out of 10 rating for me in season 3 and 4. But George saying stuff like this, I pretty much have just lost any positivity that I had going into it. What's one thing you hope season 3 doesn't fuck up? Oh, sorry, Dakota, F up. Probably the Battle of the Gullet. I think just the events surrounding the Battle of the Gullet, the things I'm worried about in terms of like Aegon and Viserys and how they get captured by the Triarchy. Well, Aegon, escapes, but and then all that surrounding the Battle of the Gullet, like how are they going to mess that up? I'm very worried about certain things like that. I agree, Radical. I think House of Dragon could have been more seasons, especially if they're going to be 8 episodes. Could have been longer. I'm going to go use the bathroom real quick, but I will be right back, guys. So I might give you guys some music. Nah, it's probably gonna go to an ad while I'm still away, but I'll be back, guys. Talk amongst yourself, and I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Hope chat behave themselves. How on earth could they not introduce Daron, but they gave that clown Lionisi captain multiple scenes? I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you, Ashley. You're spitting. That's all I'm saying. You're spitting. That's all. House of the Dragon severely frustrating. That's why the reaction is so loud. We've already suffered Game of Thrones. We don't want to suffer it again. Agreed. It's the problem of you have fantastic actors playing, great, giving their all in these roles. It's the production is fantastic, but the just horrid writing at times is destroyed the show. It is destroying the show. So that's why, because me as a reader, or not a reader, but also then a viewer of the show, season 1, I said, if you take away some of these things that they did wrong and they fix those in season 2, this show has the potential to, be as good as possible. But they didn't do that. It seems like they even reverted. With HBO's financial struggles, I wonder how they'll do the gullet since that is CGI heavy. I agree. That's why I'm worried. Yes, Mats, that does not seem to be the case. Even George is unclear on how they're going to do that. Are they going to make Jaehaera put into that role? But then that doesn't make sense. A lot of issues with that. Season 2 did Rook's Rest well. That is true. Again, I think it made perfect sense to have Daron in this season. Having him not in this season made no sense. Sounds like we're holding a funeral for the show. When the author of the work comes out and publicly criticizes the show heavily, it seems like it's the funeral. It's just what it seems like, Luna. There's a reason I played the Reigns of Castamere to open up this stream, because it seems like the dagger has been put in. Yeah, I don't know. Agreed, Floor. I agree with you. I think that it kind of just confirms the fears that a lot of people had, that season 2 wasn't an anomaly. It's only going to get worse more than likely. It's kind of what it seems like. If they won't do the gullet correctly, might as well just cancel. I agree. Radical, I don't know. That's what I'm scared about. Like, how involved will he be with Duncan Egg, the Aegon's Conquest stuff? Will they, even now that George has, gone against them, will they just wildly go away from his stuff? I'm very interested. I don't know. It could be good, could be bad. Who knows? This makes me fear for the Duncan Egg show. Agreed, Divine. I agree, 100%. I think I have more faith in Duncan Egg, a lot more faith in it right now than I do House of Dragon season 3. But yeah, I don't know. It is very frustrating. I do agree, guys. I think it's very frustrating. I miss Book Allison. To book her would jump the show version, which is crazy, right? Because I actually liked the changes they made to Allison in the show in season 1. And then they completely turned me against that. Now I'm back to where, like, yep, nope, I like Allison in the book. I don't care about more than half the characters in the show, Radical. Yeah, I agree. I agree. They didn't spend enough time with a lot of the characters. The other characters they did aren't very good anymore. I don't know. My non-book reader friends were like, who the fuck is Daron? Yep. Rings of Power season 2 is looking better now after this latest blog post. We'll see. I still don't think season 2 is very good. I think it's an improvement from season 1 with Rings of Power, but it's still not good. Rings of Power may end up being better than House of the Dragon. It's possible. Definitely possible. I hope not, but it's possible. I agree. Divine. This is the big thing I've talked about. They have to combine events. So instead of getting like 2 battles of Tumbleton, we might get 1, and it might not even be that insane. So, I don't know. When did show adaptations become source material butchery? Agreed. I don't think I'll be watching Dunk and Egg. It's tiring seeing the higher ups make dumb decisions. That's fair enough. I will probably I'm not probably I will definitely watch it, but we'll see how it goes from there. I guess I don't know. I really hope they don't do something stupid with Dunk and Egg, like put in the White Walkers or have Daron, you know, getting visions of the others and all this stupid shit that doesn't matter to Night of the Seven Kingdoms or Dunk or Egg. Their stories. We'll see. The music in Rings of Power in season 2 has been way better than season 1 in my opinion. I think season 1 was still good, but season 2 definitely was an improvement. Also, I've liked the performance of Sauron, even though I don't love like things they've done with the character. I've liked the actor who plays Sauron a lot. I think he does a fantastic job given the material he's given. But the Anatar scene was really good as well. Jesse, I agree. Jesse, I kind of agree. Like, I think that they've done some better things in season 2, but season 2 is still not very good, right? I still don't think some of the changes are making sense, right? We talked about a couple of them in, I think, Ricky's stream, where it was like making the orcs sympathetic makes no sense. Sauron kind of seems like a pushover. He just isn't Sauron. He just straight up isn't Sauron. Um, I don't know. There's a lot of writing things. The Harfoot plot still sucks ass. I mean, nothing about the Harfoot plot is enjoyable. But yeah. Olivia Cook is the only reason I still like Alicent in season 2. Fair enough. A battle that I'm sure they'll do off screen is Taking of Dragonstone. I'm sure they'll do that off. Oh, that's, yeah. I could see that. If Duncan Egg is bad, Ricky is gonna have a breakdown. But yeah. I have no idea, Joey, and that's the problem. That's George's main issue. I thought the opening scene of Rings of Power season 2 was great. See, I get what they were trying to do, but it just makes Sauron just look weird as hell. Like, why? There's a lot of things that just aren't explained. Why don't the orcs like Sauron? Never explained. If Sauron can like blow up basically an area and it creates it to make it winter and all this stuff, why is he trying to play Adar to then be the leader? It's Sauron. He is probably the most powerful entity alone in Middle Earth. He can snap his fingers and Adar dies. Like, I just don't like the way they've like weakened Sauron. And then also they've tried to make Sauron like, oh, he was kind of playing with this idea of maybe trying to be good. It's like, that's not Sauron. Sauron is evil. He is not a Game of Thrones character. I don't know. There's like, I like where Sauron is right now in the TV show, like, post episode, like, 1. But I think a lot of the stuff surrounding him is really weird. Yeah, I definitely don't think we're getting Bitterbridge, unfortunately. I agree. Hopefully the animations can do it justice, Kirsty. Put the books aside, it was bad writing for a TV show, period. I agree, 100%. And that's something I always try to do. I tried to, if they changed something from the book, I would go along with it as long as it made sense. And a lot of those things that they try to do just were not that good. Calling it now, Maester Aemon goes blind from visions of prophecies. Oh, God. Oh, God. But yeah, that's another thing, right? Going into Rings of Power now, I'm not watching it thinking, oh, yeah, this is an adaptation of the Silmarillion. The only way I can watch Rings of Power without getting pissed off is just by watching it as its own television show with no other knowledge of any other things that happen in Lord of the Rings or the Silmarillion or any of those things. Where does House of the Dragon go from here? I mean, they're gonna continue on. We'll see if they hit the landing of the Battle of the Gullet, the taking of King's Landing, all that stuff. Hope we get a Blackfire, or hope we get the Blackfire Rebellions, but keep Ryan away from it. Yes, I agree. All right, guys, I'm gonna end the stream there. I do got some schoolwork I need to do, and I would have gone longer with the stream, but I have already streamed today with Ricky, so yeah, it's been a long day of streaming. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. You know, got some entertainment out of it. You know, got some ranting, some venting out of the way towards the George stuff. Also, thank you for everybody that participated in the stream, joined, and all that stuff. This is by far the most viewed stream I've ever had, so that was kind of crazy. And